Alderman Joe Moore, the 49th Ward. Good morning. I'm proud to stand here today with my Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky and concerned citizens from across the Chicago area who are gravely concerned about the corrosive and distorting effects on our body politic of the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission. In striking down the ban on corporate spending to influence elections, the Supreme Court overturned a century of well-established law and unleashed a torrent of political spending by corporations and wealthy individuals that threatens to undermine the very fabric of our democracy. As Ray indicated, today's decision in the Montana case is just another nail in the coffin of democracy in our country. By essentially ruling that corporations have the same rights as individuals, the Supreme Court has turned the Constitution on its head. The Founding Fathers intended to give rights, the Bill of Rights, the rights that we cherish, to individuals, to human beings, not to corporations, which are essentially a legal fiction. They are a construct of government, a way to help facilitate the running of companies and manage our economy. However, the Supreme Court decided that indeed they have the same sort of First Amendment rights that individuals do, and as I've indicated, has had this incredibly corrosive effect on the body politic, on the ability of average people to get their views heard and to have their needs addressed by Congress and the state legislatures. We ask, why is the City Council in Chicago weighing in on this? Well, first of all, the City of Chicago will not be the first city that will introduce a resolution that not only criticizes Citizens United, but calls for a constitutional amendment. An amendment that needs to be ratified by 2/3 of the states that will give the federal government and the states once again the power to regulate political spending by corporations and wealthy individuals. Cities and states across the land are also affected by the distorting impact that the Citizens United decision has had on our legislative effect. We rely, just like anyone else, on the federal government for support. We rely on the federal government and the state governments to enact wise and just tax policies, wise and just spending policies. And when you give corporations and wealthy individuals an inordinate influence on the conduct and making of public policy, that impedes the ability of cities and towns across the nation to meet the needs of their people. And so it behooves us, as the representatives closest to the people, to speak out and to urge Congress and urge the states to do what the Supreme Court has, to undo what the damage the Supreme Court has done. And the only way to do that, short of getting a different cast of justices on the Supreme Court, which is a far from certain task, is to enact a constitutional amendment to once again reestablish the primacy of individual rights, of human being rights to free speech, to indicate that, as the Supreme Court has, that money has no influence, that it is turning a blind eye on the reality. It's sort of like giving it's like taking the Soldier Field with its capacity for 70,000 people and giving one person access to the public address system to enunciate their views, and the other person access to a megaphone. Well, clearly, the person who has the access to the public address system has the ability and power to persuade people to their point of view to get their message across. And that is essentially what the Supreme Court has done in this case. It has given corporations and by extension wealthy individuals a public address system to influence public opinion, to get their point of views across, to bring pressure to bear on elected officials, to enact policies that are in keeping with their points of view, their interests, and points of view and interests that often are at odds with common, ordinary Americans. So we are here today to stand united against Citizens United and to urge the federal government and the states to enact a constitutional amendment to once again restore the right of cities and towns and states and the federal government the right to regulate money in politics, to limit the amount that people can contribute to political campaigns, and to level the playing field. We are, in this November, the City Council is already on the way to giving the people in this city the right to express their views on the Citizens United case. Last Friday, I was proud to co-sponsor a resolution in the City Council Finance Committee, co-sponsored with Alderman Ed Burke and Alderman Michelle Harris, a measure that will put on the ballot this November an advisory question asking whether the Constitution should be amended to give states and the federal government the ability to regulate money in politics. So this November, the people of this city will have the ability to express their views through the ballot box on this important measure. In the meantime, the city of Chicago will be joining, I anticipate, cities across this nation in a growing chorus of people who urge that the constitutional amendment be adopted to once again restore to the people the rights that they cherish